What was that, John?
I say, your mother was my great aunt.
Okay.
My grandmother, grandfather married Sarah Delano. So we're fairly close to each other.
Far off kin.
Probably a lot of that in Cedar Key.
Uncle Will knitted and gave me my first cast net when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and it was a minnow net, just a little net to catch minnows with.
Well, we used to, we had a big porch that went the length of the house, and we'd take those nets and you hang them up on the porch so that the lead line would be up or down either way, and all 4 of us would get out there and start mending, and I guess that's where I learned to mend nets. But we'd mend a net in maybe a day or so, and we also would hang nets. That means you would buy the webbing and the lines separate, the lead line, the cork line, and then you would hang them in the way you wanted it to lay. Of course, we did that in the yard, but there was always something going on around our house, but it usually pertained to fishing.
Well, now, in front of your house where you grew up, now there is a street, a paved street.
Mm-hmm.
But when you were growing up, was your daddy's dock right across from your house? Is that where he kept his boat, right across from your house? Was that street actually there then, or was that yards, or was there a street?
It dead-ended. The street going in front of the house dead-ended into a street that went out towards the schoolhouse. And of course, at that time, the road was not built to go down to the left. But our fish nets and every dock and rails was all right down on the beach. And that's where when you're fishing and you bring your nets in, you dry them. That's the first thing you did was clean your nets and dry them. But the nets that they come out in the later days, it don't matter how long they lay on the boat. It's a monofilament net, and that's what they all used until the net ban come. And but
were those first nets from when you were a child, were those made out of cotton?
yes.
So it was heavy. It was very heavy when it was wet.
Heavy? Not really.
Was it?
One man could probably pick a whole net up. It all depends on how many leads was on the line. That's what made it heavy. But if they were made light, then it was light. But a lot of it depends on where you fish. So, but we usually fished around the oyster bars. Now, at night they had a flambeau, what they call a flambeau, and it was a rod that was on the end of it was wrapped with croaker sack, and then a piece of wire was put on the out of that. And at night you lay that across your boat, pour gasoline on it, and when you get your nets down over around an oyster bar, and you light that lantern, light that flambeau, and hold it up, and the fish just go crazy. It's all of a sudden it's dark, and then they got daylight, so then they start hitting the net. That's the way you caught most of your fish. But
about the net spreads where you dried the net spreads out in front of your house.
they were on the beach, yeah. Not directly in front of the house, but a little bit to the left, to the right. There's one thing that I noticed. There's a big tank. They call it it was in the cedar mill. It was a water tank of some kind, but when I left Cedar Keys, it was in one place. And now, when I look at it, it's in another place. And it's moved about 100 to 150 feet from where it was to where it is now. And it's nothing but a pile of rust and steel. And then, I guess it's the waves, the wind, and the tide, and whatever that has moved that tank all that distance. It's just amazing. Of course, at that time, the sand spread was all high land. I say high, but the water never covered it. But over a period of years, that sand spread has came up into Goose Cove, we call it. And that sand is all up in the beach. The oyster bars are gone, and water even comes up over that sand on a low tide. So that's a change that has been made since I was here. And there's an island called North Key. There's a big change that has come over that place, because what I used to remember, places where we fished, it's not there anymore. So I understand that the tides are going to be higher years and years to come because of the ice melt. So I believe it. I believe it. I can see a difference now. But
well, I think that will conclude what we wanted to ask you. We thank you for coming here today and allowing us to question you.
If I think of something else, I'll call you.
Okay, that would be great. That would be great. You're very interesting to listen to. And
Your name was Crevasse?
Crevasse.
I was trying to think, Johnny, there was a Crevasse that lived. You know where Mr. Whitman lived?
Is he talking about Pearl
Whitman?
and Charlie?
Pearl and Charlie, I think.
Yes, sir.
Charlie?
Well,
Winter
That's right.
Crevasse. Yes,
Winter
yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
There was I don't know what I was going to think of, but I used to, Skinny Crevasse.
Right.
Who was he now?
He was related. He was a cousin to my father-in-law.
Okay.
Joe is my father-in-law, or was my father-in-law.
Yeah.
He was a few years older than you.
Yeah.
He was probably 8 or 9 years older than you.
Okay.
And he would come here to visit relatives, but he grew up in Tampa.
Well, now,
But his parents, his mother and father, were raised
Okay.
here.
I'll tell you a story about Mr. Winter Crevasse. He stuttered. You remember that?
I've heard
I
this.
do.
I've heard.
Okay. And he heard there was a place that he could send some money to, and they would tell him how to quit stuttering. And so he sent some money up there, and they sent him a note back that says, "Keep your damn mouth shut." Now they tell that as a true story.
That sounds good.
You know, Charlie Crevasse, who was Winter's son, I guess.
Charlie, well,
Yeah.
Miss Pearl Crevasse. Now,
Yeah, that was Pearl.
I remember her. She was a good
And,
teacher.
They had a son, Bud, who was a close friend of mine.
Okay.
He stuttered also.
Okay,
He finally
well,
Outgrew that.
recovered from that, but when we were kids, he
well now
stuttered.
what crevasse is that married Rona,
That was
That's
little
what we
Rona?
call Bud Crevasse.
Bud crevasse?
Yeah,
Okay.
That was
Pearl and
Pearl's
Charlie's,
son.
Okay, well,
Charlie and Pearl's son.
well, if I could think of something, I'll call you.
Thank you. Well, we enjoyed it. We really did.
Thank you, Waylon.
It was great.
Well,
That was wonderful.